The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any—
Let's just say they're probably rethinking their hot takes. The Indiana Fever, long underestimated and unfairly dragged through the rumor mill, have emerged as the golden destination for elite talent. And the latest proof? None other than DeWanna, a WNBA legend, who just signed with the Fever in a move that sent shockwaves through the basketball world. Now, if you've been following the chatter online or listening to some of the talking heads in the media, you might have heard the narrative that nobody wants to play in Indiana. Yeah, I can't help but chuckle at that one. It's the kind of take that makes you wonder if people are watching the same league we are. From fans on social media to certain commentators, cough Sheryl Swoopes cough, there's been this persistent myth that Indiana is some kind of basketball wasteland, a place where players supposedly run for the hills rather than lace up their sneakers.
Like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
But DeWanna just put that nonsense to bed with a single decisive move. She didn't just sign a contract, she made a statement. And trust me, it's a loud one. So, grab your popcorn, because we're diving into how Bonner's arrival is rewriting the Fever's story, dismantling tired narratives, and setting the stage for something truly special in Indiana. From the drama surrounding Caitlyn Clark to the team's playoff potential, we're breaking it all down. Let's get into it. The rumor mill and the Indiana Fever's bad raplet set the scene. For months, the Indiana Fever have been the subject of relentless speculation. The rumor mill was working overtime, churning out headlines and hot takes claiming that players were steering clear of Indianapolis like it was the Bermuda Triangle of the WNBA. The crux of the gossip? Caitlyn Clark, the Fever's electrifying rookie, was allegedly creating a toxic locker room environment, alienating teammates, and making Indiana an undesirable destination. Some even went as far as to say that Clark's presence was driving veterans away, painting the Fever as a franchise in chaos. And who was fanning these flames? Well, none other than WNBA legend Sheryl Swoopes, whose recent comments about the Fever's supposed lack of appeal raised eyebrows across the league. Swoopes suggested that Indiana's fan base was lackluster and that players were itching to jump ship, unwilling to play alongside Clark or buy into the Fever's vision.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like...
It was a bold claim, and one that didn't sit well with those who've been watching Indiana's rise. Y'all, that's not my point, Swoopes said, trying to backtrack when the backlash hit. But the damage was done. The narrative was out there, and it was spreading like wildfire. Now let's be real, rumors in sports are nothing new. Every league has its share of drama, and the WNBA is no exception. But this particular storyline felt like it was straight out of a soap opera. Caitlyn Clark is too intense. The Fever's locker room is a mess. Indiana is where careers go to fade. It was the kind of hyperbole that thrives on clicks and retweets, but falls apart under scrutiny. And yet it gained traction, with some fans and analysts buying into the idea that the Fever were a franchise to avoid. Enter DeWanna, stage left, ready to flip the script. DeWanna, the veteran who chose Indiana. If you know anything about DeWanna, you know she's not one to mess around. A two-time WNBA champion, three-time Sixth Woman of the Year, and the league's all-time leader in playoff appearances and minutes played, Bonner is a postseason warrior who's seen it all. She's battled Hall of Famers, carried teams through high-stakes games, and built a reputation as one of the most versatile and clutch players in WNBA history. So when she decides to sign with a team, you better believe it's a big deal. And that's exactly what happened when Bonner inked a deal with the Indiana Fever.
Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment.
This wasn't just a routine free agent signing. It was a thunderclap, a moment that reverberated across the league. Bonner didn't just choose Indiana, she chose it with conviction, proudly donning a Fever jersey and making it crystal clear that she's all in. "I want in," she declared, and you could practically hear the collective jaws dropping from coast to coast. For those who've been peddling the nobody wants to play in Indiana narrative, Bonner's decision was a swift and decisive reality check. Here's a player who could have signed with any number of contending teams, a veteran with options galore, choosing to join a young, up-and-coming squad led by a rookie. And not just any rookie, Caitlyn Clark, the very player at the center of all the controversy. If that's not a ringing endorsement of Indiana's potential, I don't know what is. Dismantling the myth. Indiana as a destination Bonner's move didn't just silence the doubters, it obliterated one of the most ridiculous myths in the WNBA, that Indiana is a place players are desperate to escape. Let's break this down logically. The Fever have a passionate,
That what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge. And I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge for her to understand it.
So where did this idea come from that Indiana is some kind of basketball purgatory? A lot of it stems from the narrative around Clark. As a rookie, she's been under a microscope, with every move dissected and every quote analyzed. Her intensity, her competitive fire, and her ability to command attention have been spun into something negative by some critics. She's too much, they say. She's driving teammates away. But Bonner's signing tells a different story. This is a veteran who's played alongside and against the best in the game, and she sees something special in Clark and the Fever. In her first interview as a member of the Fever, Bonner didn't mince words. "I'm excited to be here," she said, her enthusiasm practically jumping through the screen. This is a team with dynamic pieces. CeCe, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull. They've got a great core, and I want to be a part of that. That's not the kind of thing you say if you're joining a sinking ship. That's the kind of thing you say when you believe in a team's potential to do something extraordinary. The Caitlyn Clark factor, let's talk about Caitlyn Clark for a minute, because she's at the heart of this story. If you've watched her play, you know she's a generational talent. Her rookie season was nothing short of spectacular. Record-breaking performances, jaw-dropping passes, and a competitive edge that's already made her one of the league's most compelling figures.
DeWanna, so why was this the right opportunity for you?
I just feel like it was the location for one. My kids are literally right up the road, and I've spent a lot of time away from them, so.
But with great talent comes great scrutiny, and Clark has faced her share of it. Some critics, including Swoopes, have suggested that Clark's intensity is a liability, that her style of play or personality is pushing teammates away. But Bonner sees it differently. In her eyes, Clark isn't a problem, she's a solution. "You see what she's done in her rookie season," Bonner said. "She gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful. That's huge." But coming from a player who's shared the court with legends like Diana Taurasi, that's high praise. Bonner's admiration for Clark goes beyond her stat sheet. It's about her leadership, her vision, and her unrelenting drive to win. "She's a smart player," Bonner noted. "I'm hoping I can give her a little bit more leadership and knowledge to understand this league better, especially when the playoffs hit." That's not the voice of someone who's intimidated by a rookie's intensity.
That and the core that they have here now, is just kind of want to fit in, and be another piece of the puzzle, and hopefully bring the energy down.
That's the voice of someone who recognizes a superstar in the making and wants to help her shine. A veteran's perspective. Why Indiana? So why did Bonner choose Indiana? Sure, Clark was a factor, but it wasn't the only one. Bonner was thoughtful in her decision, weighing both personal and professional considerations. On a personal level, Indiana's location was a big draw. "My kids are literally right up the road," she explained. "I've spent a lot of time away from them, so being closer to family was huge." It's a reminder that athletes aren't just players. They're people with lives and priorities off the court. But don't mistake this for a sentimental choice. Bonner's basketball decision was rooted in the Fever's potential. She was impressed by their grit last season, a campaign where they went from underdogs to playoff contenders. "I think we're a hungry group," she said. "They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and fought, and that's the kind of team I want to be a part of." With Clark orchestrating the offense, Boston dominating the paint, Mitchell lighting up the scoreboard, and Hull providing hustle, Bonner saw a roster that's not just talented, but driven. And then there's the fan base. Indiana's supporters have been showing up in droves, turning Gainbridge Fieldhouse into one of the toughest environments in the WNBA. "It's crazy," Bonner said with a laugh. "You went from a few fans in the stands to sold-out arenas everywhere, even on the road."
I think we're a hungry group, so I'm just excited to get out there with everybody and get the final roster, because I'm pretty sure there's more things in the works than free agents, so I'm just kind of sit back and waiting, but I can't wait.
In the playoffs, it almost felt like a home game in Connecticut because so many Fever fans showed up. That kind of support matters, and Bonner knows it. She's played in front of some of the best crowds in the league, and she's ready to embrace Indiana's passionate faithful. Sheryl Swoopes and the narrative that fell apart now. Let's circle back to Sheryl Swoopes because her role in this saga can't be ignored. Swoopes, a WNBA icon and 4-time champion, has been vocal about her skepticism of the Fever.
Our player, you already see what she's done in her rookie season, and I think she gets the ball to people in the right positions to help them be successful, so that's huge, and I'm hoping that I can give her a little bit more leadership.
A few months ago, she went on a tear, questioning the team's locker room environment and suggesting that players were desperate to leave. "People don't want to play there," she said, pointing to Clark as a potential source of friction. It was a bold claim, and one that didn't go unnoticed. Fast forward to today, and Swoopes is probably wishing she could take those words back. Bonner's signing is a direct rebuke to her narrative, a living, breathing counter-argument in the form of a 6'4" veteran superstar. If Indiana is such a terrible place to play, why is one of the league's most respected players chosen?